In the year of our Lord 2020, there are a lot of things available to watch. Back when our parents were kids, they only had a couple of TV channels and whatever movies were in theaters that week. But in 2020, we have a multitude of choices to entertain ourselves. Through streaming services like Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Disney+, as well as a multitude of other avenues to stream entertainment, there is no shortage of things to watch. I myself have lists of shows and movies on all these services that I hope to one day finish. Yet, for some reason, I still find myself watching the same 3 or 4 movies and shows over and over again. Maybe it's because they act as a sort of comfort food. I know what's happening, so I don't have to pay super close attention, but they still make me feel some type of way that keeps me coming back. Maybe it's just because the shows I'm trying to watch aren't good or aren't my thing. Maybe it's just not scratching the right ilk. What? Maybe it's just because I'm lazy and I'd rather look at memes on Twitter than watch anything new. Yeah, it's definitely the last one. Over and over again, I find myself watching the same few things due to a variety of different reasons. I watch The Office on Netflix because it doesn't ever fail to make me laugh. I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm for the same reason on HBO. On Prime, I keep watching I Am Legend because I'm preparing for the apocalypse. I mean, because it's a good movie that doesn't scare me at all. But the media I find myself returning to the most, that I find myself just playing to relax, while also having to keep my undivided attention, is Tron Legacy on Disney+. You know how kids go through phases? Like, one day they're squeaky clean, and then the next it's like they spent their entire chore money at Hot Topic to become hashtag goth as fuck. Well, I go through phases where I watch Tron Legacy over and over again, and I have been stuck in this phase since November when Disney+ dropped. It's gotten to the point where my friends regularly make fun of me for pushing Tron Legacy down their throats. No joke, I made all my friends watch it on New Year's Eve. That was how I spent the end of the decade. I do not regret my choices. But before I get into this, I know that there are a lot of people who like the first Tron and do not like the second. There are a lot of people who say this movie is inferior to the first installment. I do not understand those people. Maybe it's because I actually saw Tron Legacy first, but to me, the first Tron is such a slog. Yes, for the time it came out in, the effects are revolutionary and important, and yes, it was one of Jeff Bridges' first starring roles. But God, is it such a bore to watch. The movie basically has no pace. Stuff just happens in a slow and boring way. The dialogue consists of 80s technobabble about hacking and mainframes and everything like that.
Come on, you scuzzy data, be in there. Come on.
Also, while the effects were revolutionary at the time, they are horribly, horribly outdated now. And the costumes, yeah, it's just better if we skip over them. Now, I know this makes it sound like I don't like the first one, but I do. It's a cute film for dorks, but Tron Legacy tops the first one in every way. Of course, no film is perfect, even one I love as much as Tron Legacy. And for the sake of transparency, I'm going to go through the things I don't like before I get into what I love about the movie, before all you original Troners get on my fucking case. The first thing that I do not much care for is Sam Flynn's dialogue during the action scenes. This might feel pretty small, but it's my review and I'm going to comment on it if I want to. Even though it's only a couple lines here and there, 100% of the lines Sam says during the action scenes are cheesy and take away from the whole experience.
Damn it. So that's how it is. I won! Now let me out! Yeah. I'm out. You gotta be kidding me. What, I feel like I just got dunked on. Now this I can do. Now that's what I'm talking about! Another customer! Playing all the angles. I met your friend. He's fantastic. Whoa, 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 whoa! Have a nice sweat!
As much as I don't enjoy these lines, I do want to say that I don't really put this on the actor playing Sam. Garrett Hedlund is solid throughout the film, and he's really good in scenes where it's just him and another actor interacting and talking about stuff that's going on throughout the movie. And it's obvious he's giving it his all when it comes to these action lines, and he actually almost makes it work. He just plays Sam in this cool action hero sort of way, but because these lines feel like they came off of the stock action movie line shelf in the grocery store, it almost undercuts and takes away from the suspense of the scene. I say almost because these scenes are still awesome, but we'll get into that later. The second and only real gripe I have with this movie is obvious if you've seen it before, and that's the effects for Clue's face. Clue is supposed to look like the 1982 version of Kevin Flynn, so they tried to recreate Jeff Bridges' face from the movie for this one, and it just doesn't work. This movie was right at the beginning of the de-aging CGI craze, if not the movie that actually started it, and it's so obvious that the technology was not ready for that kind of effect in 2010. Every scene he's in has that uncanny valley look to it, and it completely distracts from the film. I mean, just Try and watch this scene without staring at the lifeless Jeff Bridges in front of you. This effect was obviously super expensive, and it kind of sucks that it failed so badly. They probably could have kept Clue's face in shadow or in a helmet or something, with maybe one reveal to Sam for the sake of suspense, and nothing about the movie would have fundamentally changed, while also saving the film money. Now, I'm not here to tell a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Disney what to do with their money, but when you look at what the film cost compared to what the film actually made, saving those millions of dollars instead of wasting them on awful de-aging could have been the difference between us getting a Tron 3 or not. With the exception of these few issues, the rest of the film I thoroughly enjoy for a variety of different reasons. So without further ado, here are the top 4 reasons Tron Legacy rocks. The first reason for why this movie rocks is for the story it tells. To me, this story perfectly adds onto the story the first movie told. The first one was about Kevin Flynn attempting to overthrow Encom and create a better future for the digital age with the help of a program named Tron. Tron Legacy tells the story of the success of that attempt and the evils that come along with success. And when you break down the whole story, guy enters his computer to find his dad who left to get milk, goes for some bike rides, finds the dad, has dinner, goes to the club, and gets sucked in the sky by a big blue beam. It's not amazingly complex. What makes the story so interesting and special to me is how the characters help tell the story. Obviously, that's what characters do. They are the vehicles that move the story along. But it's the different way that this movie is told through the characters that really got me, and that's through the father-son dynamic that's apparent throughout the entire runtime. One of the common criticisms of the movie is the dynamic between Sam and Kevin, that it's awkward and hard to believe that Sam could even be his son. To that I say, wouldn't it be awkward if you didn't see your dad for 30 years, and when you do, he's literally Techno-Jesus who created a fascist overlord that looks just like his younger self? Wouldn't that make you feel a little uncomfortable? To me, their relationship feels so real because of the time they spent away from each other. Both characters are obviously far different people than they were in the 30 years they spent apart. Sam's a full-grown man now, who spent his whole life mostly on his own and in defiance. Kevin has been stuck inside the grid in constant fear of his own creation, Clue, who adds another layer to this dynamic. Clue, just like Sam, is a creation of Kevin Flynn, but unlike Sam, who is a defiant muckraker for Encom, Clue is a fascist overlord of the grid, who's attempting to create the perfect system in genocidal ways. While Clue has all the power in the world of the grid, Sam has something that Clue has always wanted and can never get: humanity. Clue's whole evil plan in this film is getting out of the grid, getting to the real world, and achieving power there. But what he also searches for is the approval of his creator, his father, Kevin Flynn.
Am I still to create the perfect system? Yeah.
He longs for that human connection with Kevin, just like Sam.
I did everything! Everything you ever asked! I know you did. I executed the plan! As you saw it. You promised that we would change the world together. You broke your promise. I know. I understand that now. I took the system to its maximum potential. I created the perfect system. The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable. It's impossible, but it's also right in front of us all the time. You wouldn't know that because I didn't when I created you. I'm sorry, Clue. I'm sorry.
And that's what makes this theme of father-son relationships great. You get two characters on two different sides of the coin, good and evil, who are really fighting for the same thing: the approval of their father. And just to add here, because I don't want to leave her out, Cora's backstory and character is really good too. We're told that she's the last remaining of the isotopes, which were programs that kind of spawned out of nowhere, serving no one with the ability to evolve. We're told that Clue wiped out the entire race in his effort to build the perfect system, believing that isotopes were an obstruction in his journey. Cora's backstory here adds a couple different layers to the movie as a whole. It helps explain Clue as a character as well as his motives, and it helps us understand why she's so special. You're invested in whether or not she lives because you understand the importance of her existence. If she dies, that's an entire race completely wiped out. She's a badass character who can fight for herself, but she still has her quirks. There's a scene where she's following Sam around like a child, revealing her innocent curiosity and bewilderment at meeting another human. The only other human she's ever come into contact with is Kevin Flynn, so meeting another one who can confirm his stories is exciting for her. And the story of her and the isotopes helps make the grid feel like a lived-in place, like stuff was actually going on between the events of the first movie and Tron Legacy. There's a whole mythology that this movie is just scraping the surface of. The story of the isotopes further helps realize the world of the grid, and that leads me to my next point. So many other movies try and set up worlds, and for a variety of different reasons, it just doesn't work. Even the world in the original, like I said earlier, is cute for its time, but you never feel like you're actually there. Because of the time it came out in, it's apparent that what you're watching is an effect. But because of the technology we had in 2010 and the movie's budget, as well as the right set of artists working on the film, the grid feels like a real live place, one with an amazing color palette and overall vibe. Take a look at shots like these and tell me that this isn't a place that you'd want to go, if it didn't have a fascist overlord. Also, to save time, I'm going to lump the costumes in with this part and just say that I love them so much. Every costume in this movie is so amazing that I've seriously spent time thinking about making my own for a cosplay if I was into that sort of thing. I love that the light designs on the suits they wear with the black undersuit underneath are actual practical lights. The armor on the suit is intricate but clear and not complex. There's not a million tiny moving parts and pieces like the Flash costume or every Transformer in the Transformer movies. I love that the good guys are in blue and the bad guys are in orange. The colors contrast each other so much due to the black base and the cool colors of the world around them. It's a simple way to illustrate the fight between good and evil, but I don't need much from costumes. Costumes don't need to be this super complex design. They just need to be something that looks cool, helps tell the story, and look like something that I would want to wear. That's it. Another big aspect of this movie that I love is the action. There isn't a crazy big fight like at the end of Avengers Endgame, or insane shootouts like in John Wick. There are two main hand-to-hand fights, one in the beginning when Sam enters the game, and another when Cora and Kevin Flynn go and rescue Sam at the club. And then there are the action scenes where the characters are in some sort of bike, like in the beginning when Sam infiltrates Encom, or when Clue and Sam face off in the light cycle race. None of these action scenes are these huge, earth-shattering ordeals, but they're so well put together and easy to watch that the scope doesn't matter. The camera and editing is really important here. This movie was Joseph Kosinski's directorial debut, but he had experience shooting commercials for games like Halo 3 and Gears of War, and it shows. The camera is so confident in its movement. Every shot in this movie is as smooth as butter. There's no shot in the film where it's hard to tell what's happening, and the editing allows you to take everything in. It's not cut to shit like some movies are, and it makes for a much better, smoother experience. Not every scene needs to be this long chase scene or earth-shattering fight. It can just be guys riding on bikes, working to cut their opponents off, or a fight in the club, as long as the camera and editing are good. And also if it includes slow-mo like this scene, oh my god. Now there's another reason why this film absolutely rocks that I haven't gotten to yet, and it's the biggest reason for why this film works so well: the music. The music in this movie is absolutely 100% amazing. There's no doubt in my mind that this movie would be worse if it weren't for the soundtrack, which was expertly done by Daft Punk themselves, who cameo in the club scene. The music accentuates and basically makes every scene. It helps further make this world feel real, but also makes it feel vast and untapped and ripe for exploration. The music also helps the suspense of the action scenes and keep you on your toes during scenes like Sam entering the grid. I'd almost argue that the music in this movie is as important a character as any of the characters we actually see on screen. Every action scene, emotional beat.
I know.
Discovery, and more is perfectly punctuated by the music, and I wouldn't change a single beat. So there you have it, all the reasons why Tron Legacy rocks. Take from that what you will and watch it. Or not, I don't really care. I'm gonna go watch Norm in the North.